Last year, I traveled. I lived in 7 countries last year. This brand done over 75K and within a month, over $500,000 here. So my dad's disabled. He was in an accident when I was about like six years old. He came up with a master plan to send me back to Nigeria. Then my business was shut down, so I had no way of making money. As like I started, it went literally back to zeros. Hello guys, so welcome to my YouTube video. So in this YouTube video, I'm just gonna be sharing basically a bit more about myself and my story really. So I'm gonna be sharing how I grew $1 million brands while exploring the world. So over the past 3 years since running my business, we've helped generate millions in sales for our clients and sold multiple brands into 6- and 7-figure brands, right? So here is an image of one of our clients celebrating over $1 million in sales on Instagram. This is great. So I've traveled. Last year I traveled and went to I lived in 7 countries last year. I started off at Turkey. Then I went to Colombia. I hired someone while I was in Turkey. My business grew, I doubled at that point. I hired someone who went over to Colombia. I've never met this person before, by the way. I ended up spending like 3 months together. Then I went to Portugal for Afro Nation. I was going to Thailand and I made a stop at Israel for a few days. I met someone in Afro Nation who was from Israel. So spent a few days in Israel. And then I lived in Thailand for about 7 months. In between, went to Vietnam and then Sri Lanka. So you can see the images here. This is me at Galata Tower in Turkey. This is Colombia, and me with a monkey on the shoulder. That was in Sri Lanka, right? So I got a small video on Instagram that basically kind of shares, it's one of my favorite videos of me in Colombia. It's a very pivotal moment because that's when I started like really building out the team, hiring more people, and that's when my business really started to take off. So yeah. Oh, this brings back some memories. This is also my favorite song, by the way, by MLA. It's called Reason. Yeah, but that was a really great time. Yeah, so all of this, I started building like a remote marketing team of 11 people. We've got advertisers, copywriters, graphic designers, website designers, and also video editors. So I got a lot of what I wanted and scripted out in my journal for years now. So I know off like a mentor, I've been on a self-improvement journey for a really, really long time, reading books, and I used to journal out exactly what I want in my life to be like it has already happened, like I was already living in it in my journal for literally years now. And I got a lot. It's kind of crazy when I look back. I'm back, so I came back from Thailand about a few weeks ago, and I look back in the journals, and a lot of things I've written down have started to happen in my life. Not everything, far from everything, but it's really great, and I'm actually achieving all the things that I've set out to do. Yeah, I've got all the things that I really wanted, the money, the freedom, the ability to like travel the world. I'm getting all of that now, and I'm really happy. And the best thing about it is I have really amazing clients, right? So I'm going to be biased and say, I have the best clients in the world, but I genuinely do believe that, right? So I have an opportunity to help amazing people and extremely bright minds change the world with their products and services. And I really do mean that because whether it's skincare, helping people with their hyperpigmentation or their acne, this is something that really affects people in their lives, and it helps them become more confident and a better version of themselves. I also have clients that teaching people about financial education and investing. I help some clinics, even some photography studio as well. So, but the majority of my clients are in like the skincare, haircare, supplement niche. And the best things about it is actually meeting my clients and helping these people. So this is one of my clients here in this Instagram video, and they sell like health supplements, which is really had a really good impact. I even tried some of this myself. So my dad's disabled. He was in an accident when I was about like six years old, and recently had like a big inflammation on his knees. Like it was like one of his knees was double the size. I gave him, one of my clients recommended that he take moringa and a few other supplements. I gave it to him, and literally within about like 5 days, all that swelling and everything just went down. So I'm even seeing the evidence of it just testing out in my own life, but even spending time with them and their clients, watching the reviews and what people are saying is really having like a massive impact on people. So it makes me feel really, really good that, I'm helping these people help more people, right? Cool. So yeah, it's been an amazing journey so far. I'm extremely grateful for, but it's really just the beginning. So I'm going to take you through the origin story, right? So we share more about myself and my story, how I got to the point where I am, and where we have a growth partner agency. We're generating millions of dollars in sales for our clients, and we do a lot more than just marketing. We're really involved in pretty much every single part of our clients' businesses, from, you know, the operation side of it, their packaging, their labeling, like everything, right? So we've got a team of 11 people now working with me. Like I said, advertisers, graphic designers, web designers. And I've been traveling the world full time for over a year now while running my agency full time. I've been through a lot of ups and downs to get to where I am, but those journeys and experiences really shape who you are, right? So I was born in Nigeria, started from humble beginnings. I would say we're born into a lower middle class family. There's not really a middle class in Nigeria, to be honest, but I say that because we had our basic necessities met. We didn't really have much money, but we could get by. And we're better off than most of our neighbors. And literally some of our neighbors literally had houses made out of sticks or stones. Our houses, you know, made out of concrete. We had electricity sometimes when the generator was on, right? And we've got a community of people that were happy and, you know, adapted to the struggle, right? So funny enough, even being there, like a lot of people are just are happier, and there's a good sense of, you know, there's not, even though it's tough, there's a really good communities and a great feeling to like being there, right? So yeah, my mum wasn't really there much in my early childhood. So she was in medical school and she became a nurse, and then she went to the UK with two of my elder sisters. I didn't really experience too much of a lack though, because in Africa it's more that you're not really just raised by just your mum and dad. It's at least where I grew up, you're raised by the whole community. So I still had, you know, the feminine role models there and the feminine presence and, you know, mother figures that I could look up to. So I didn't feel like too much of a lack, but she wasn't there the majority of my early childhood, right? So my mom then came back for me when I was about 7 years old, and my younger sister, and brought us to the UK to give us just better opportunities in life. So yeah, about 7 years old, I moved to the UK to a place called Nottingham, right? So we lived at the edge of the city centre, and this is where I'll spend like the next 13 years of my life, right? So we were an immigrant family, didn't have much money. My mom was a nurse providing for 4 kids by herself, right? So my dad got into a car accident when I was about like 6 years old. And because of that, he was the main breadwinner in the family, but he couldn't work like he did before. So this put a lot of pressure on my mom to become, you know, the breadwinner of the family and step up and really be the provider for pretty much everyone, including my dad as well. Yeah, so she was paying taxes, you know, mortgage, food for the kids, paying school fees, all on a nurse's wage. I'm sure it wasn't easy. And now I think back, it must have been so hard doing all of that. Although we rarely ever see eye to eye, I do have a lot of respect for her, right? She's now 61 years old. She's still working. And one of my goals is to retire her within the next 2 years. And I'm glad to say I'm not actually that far off, right? So yeah, into the early teens. So this is the spark of the entrepreneurial spirit. So I never really had pocket money growing up. I had to find creative ways of making money myself. And looking back, I was frustrated at the time because, you know, my friends, they would have, you know, they'll be given money by their parents. There was no such thing for me. But when I look back on it, you know, it's probably one of the best things that could have happened, because I had to figure out how to get on my own, basically, right? And that's kind of what sparked the entrepreneurial spirit in me from a young age. So it really started when I broke my phone. I used to have this old Nokia Lumia. I'm not sure if anyone used these phones back in the day. And it broke. I didn't have money to fix it. So I looked online on how to fix the phone. I bought some tools from eBay, and it cost about like £10. And I learned actually how to fix the phone myself. And I fixed my own phone. I was really happy about it. I started fixing other people's phones. And I started fixing phones and like reselling them. But I didn't really do much. It was only like a 3 or 4, right? Yeah. I was a big fan of Breakfast Club growing up. You know, the Breakfast Club interviews. I'm really into like hip hop. I used to watch a lot of the artist interviews and just learn more about them. But there was one interview with Gary Vee on the Breakfast Club where he was talking about reselling, and in particular how you can buy cheap items from China on Alibaba and AliExpress and basically just resell them, right? So it was literally this interview that I have here. So I checked it out. I did some research on what was selling on eBay. I see if I could find those items for cheaper, those sites, and I did, right? So yeah, but it was these two, it was coming up to Valentine. It was like these love heart necklaces, right? And I bought it for like $2, $3 and ended up putting it on eBay for like £20, £30. And within about like 3 weeks, they sold. And that's when I had like a epiphany moment. And this is why I started doing this over and over and over again. Eventually, I moved to phones because you can make a lot more money. They were more expensive to buy, but a lot more profitable. So especially like old Android phones, you can get them from China and it's refurbished. So they basically fix it up and it's basically like new again. So I started buying a lot of those phones and reselling them on eBay. And that was like my early hustle. So that was really my first taste of making any like significant money online. And I was about like 14 to 15 years old at the time. Then I moved into eBay dropshipping. So further down the line, went to eBay dropshipping and I learned from a guy named Andre Kriegsberg. I'm sure I'm butchering his name. He's somewhere from Eastern Europe. That's like, I think it's Latvia or something, right? But I bought his course on dropshipping on eBay. So I moved to doing his method. The downside from getting stuff from China is that it would take way too long to actually come and arrive here. So with eBay dropshipping, I'll be getting it from domestic suppliers and mainly Amazon, right? So doing this though, the profits were really low. It was only like £1 to £5 or like a sale, but I would have like thousands of products. And I would hire these VAs, virtual assistants from the Philippines, to just be listing all of those products for me. And like stuff would just be selling all the time. And then I'll be going on Amazon, buying the exact same product, shipping it out to the customer, right? So made money selling in high quantities. I was doing this at like 15, 16 years old. And at its peak, I was making about like 1,000 to 2,000 a month, right? And this was just like secondary school. It was pretty cool, but the money did get to my head. I didn't really pay much attention in school, and that my way couldn't tell me anything. I was badly behaved. I just kind of did what I wanted, and no one could really like say anything to me because I felt like, I had no money, so I didn't need you, right? So coming to America. So this is my first solo trip overseas at 16 years old. So there was this guy I followed from when I was like 13 years old. His name is Jason Capital. I found him when he was still a dating coach. So it's funny, I'm looking back now, I was like 13, how to attract girls or whatever. And I bought his course on like a day, and I was like 13, it was like $40. But yeah, I found him, and he reinvented himself multiple times across the years, and each time it resonated with me even more. So I moved away from dating and to just like self-improvement for men, and then went into business and copywriting, and I just basically followed him all along that journey, right? So he had a really big influence on me growing up. He vocalized a lot of views that I really thought deep down and was contrary to what I was hearing in my current environment. Because growing up, school's pushing me to go to uni. If you know anything about immigrant family in Nigeria, they're really big on going to university, getting your education, because they think, that's the way. But I've seen so many people go to uni, come back, just work regular jobs. I didn't really want to do it. And he was saying, he was basically vocalizing the views that I really thought deep down, and he said, don't go to uni, and you can learn high income skills and all these things, right? So in August 2017, he held an event, and I pretty much spent all my money I had from like my eBay dropshipping to go at the time. It was in California, Orange County in Long Beach. So it was literally just after I was legal enough to actually travel by myself. So 16 is a legal age, so you can travel overseas by yourself. And the event was in August. My birthday is May 25th. So it was literally about like 3 months after I took my first solo trip out there to the US, right? So I was there, 16 at the time. I couldn't book any hotel because you have to be 21 in the US to book a hotel. So the only place that would let me stay was the hotel where the event was being held. And it was like a fancy hotel, like 5 stars, but it cost like £300 a night, and I paid it. So, but I don't regret it because it was a really life-changing experience for me, because I saw young, successful people. I'm talking guys like in their 20s, that are millionaires, young millionaires, and it made it real for me that I could actually achieve the same. Funny enough, the event was actually kind of, the event was great, but meeting those people was very underwhelming because they're just regular people. They're just people like you and me. So if they could do it, I just thought, definitely I could do it. So this is the image of us there at the event. You can see me here, right here. So funny enough, by the way, this was the first time I heard about Bitcoin. There was a guy there talking on stage. So this is 2017. He was talking on stage about dropping out of medical school because he made 6 figures off Bitcoin. I had no idea what it was at the time. But if I started investing since then, I'd be a millionaire by now. So I guess things happen for a reason. If I made money that easily, I'm sure it would have had a bad effect. So I guess it's better I make money the hard way, learn the skills and develop. At least that's what I tell myself. Stop myself from crying at night and missing that opportunity, right? But yeah, that environmental exposure really changed my life and understanding for me, but it was going to be at least a good 4 to 5 years before I started making any significant success financially, right? Okay, so returning home. Yeah, I came back home. I spent most of my money, but my eBay account was shut down. It wasn't actually my eBay, it was my PayPal. So I had to verify my identity And I wasn't old enough to be selling on the platforms. And so they saw my ID that I was 16 and they banned my account. So I couldn't sell anymore and they kind of destroyed that business. So I spent all my money on that event. I came back, then my business was shut down. So I had no way of making money as like I started. It went literally back to zero. So it went on a year and a half. I kept opening new accounts and trying to get with like some fake IDs or some friends, or help getting friends to set up for me. And it went for a while, literally about a year and a half. And I was still doing this throughout college too. So because I was so focused on that business because that's the only way I knew how to make money. But because of this, I didn't really pay attention to much anything else. My mom came up with a master plan to send me back to Nigeria. So I think my whole family was in there as well. They said it was my auntie's wedding in Nigeria. Come to find out, there was no wedding. It was just like a whole big ruse to get me there. And she wanted me to go to do college again and go to uni because I vocalized from a young age. I was like, I'm not going to uni. I'm not doing that, all right? So she wanted to basically force me on the path that she wanted me to go on, right? And because of this, it kind of destroyed my business because I was logging in for multiple IPs being in Nigeria. So my PayPal account was shut down again. And at this point, I pretty much gave up because I've been through this thing like 2 or 3 times, right? So, but it's funny how life goes full circle because now I'm the brands I'm working with, we're actually helping them get set up on eBay, Amazon, Etsy, all these third-party platforms. So like 7 years down the line, I'm doing the same thing, but then now for my clients' brands, right? As an additional way to help them scale. So after college, I started my career in sales. So I thought about things pretty logically from a young age. We were broke. I wanted money. I looked at the people that had money, they're business owners, but like I thought about what do I need to do to make sure I'm successful to this field, right? Because there's no really such skills called business. It's a makeup of like loads of different individual skills that come together, right? But the main thing you need to know if you're in the business is actually how to sell, right? So I thought, okay, if this is my goal, this is what I need to get there. I need to learn sales. So that started my career in sales. So right after college, I started going into door-to-door sales, learning the skills. And it was a really great experience. I learned the skills of sales, mindset, and consistency, but the door-to-door was hard, man. And especially being in the UK, especially at wintertime, like every winter I'm reminded that my ancestors did not come from here because I was freezing. My hands would get so cold. And you always have to put a smile on your face and you're knocking on people's doors, trying to sell them things. You always keep like a positive attitude. So it really, really builds character. And I don't regret it, although I'll never go back to doing that. And then I moved into telesales. So I got a job working at GoDaddy. So if people don't know what GoDaddy is, like the biggest domain provider in the world, and they sell loads of web services. And this is when the seed got planted into my mind to go to digital marketing because I was in the sales. So while we were there, we got trained on basically how the internet works, what we do, a little bit on marketing as well, and how to help these brands. But we were more on the sales side of actually selling the services on using telesales, right? And I was selling websites, SEO, all kinds of like these digital services for like £3,000 to £4,000, right? Like all ranges from about £1,000 to £4,000. And I was looking at some of these websites and thinking I could literally build something just as good, or if not better than that. So that's when, it would take like a year and a half before I even started launching the agency. But the seed of this really planted the seed in my mind of actually trying to do this myself, right? And then during COVID, I watched a lot of people online who were traveling and earning money being digital nomads. And this also started developing the idea in my mind because I wanted to do the same. I was seeing them traveling all over the world, and I was like, I want to do this, right? So I'm not sure if you've heard of a channel called Passport Heavy, but if any of you are into travel, watch Passport Heavy. They have the best YouTube videos on travel, in my opinion, like out there. I've watched every single one of their videos. I was literally following this about like 20,000 on YouTube, right? But the owner and the guy running this he had a digital marketing agency. He was from Nigeria, same place I grew up, even from the same tribe as well. So this again started watering the idea of doing this, for myself as well. Okay, so then I went to another like marketing agency. It was called Unitel Direct. So they were selling web services, but there's more SEO. So their whole thing was helping businesses get ranked. So at the end of 2021, I went to a business event called the Black Business Show in London, just for networking. I used to go to a lot of these events. I know it's just a good environment for me to be in. And I met lots of business owners with great products, but they had zero knowledge of marketing and sales. So I thought, let me help these guys out. So I looked at the website, and the website was terrible. And what my skills at the time were building and optimizing websites, right? So this is what most of my first client here is a Flossy Eyewear. You can see the glasses. So she's selling like these glasses and these fashionable glasses. And her website was terrible at the time. So I helped her build a new website. I got like 2 clients from that show. And that's when this whole thing pretty much started, right? You see me that there. Then I got my first few clients, and then just build the websites to convert more of the visitors into customers. Now, I took a lot more courses on marketing, but I had no money to actually test out any of these things that they were saying myself. So I used the knowledge to apply it and test it out on the client's brands for pretty much like a really low fee, like next to free. So I learned advertising, copywriting, email marketing, and much more, and continued to build and acquire more skills. And with more experience, I just kept on getting better over time, right? Then I started to attract more clients and charge more. So the moment goes into building a team. So this is where I started becoming a real business owner, right? So when you're running your business all by yourself and you're the only one, you're still kind of a solopreneur in a way. Until you start building like a team, that's when you become like a real businessman. That's what I've heard anyway. So this is why I started becoming a real business owner. So I left the UK for a new environment where I could focus on my business. And so I moved to Turkey in February 2023. My home situation got really, really bad because me and my mom, like I said, we did not see eye to eye on a lot of things. One of the biggest things, I didn't want to go to uni. So we're always arguing about that. And she didn't really believe in what I was doing. So she said it would fail. And me not wanting to go to church and etc. We didn't have the same belief system. And basically we just had a completely 2 different ideas of how my life was going to go. But it made being at home really toxic because every single day there was an argument. Every single day we were like bumping heads. I knew I needed a new environment to just get out to a new environment to pursue what I really wanted to do. I knew once I got into a new environment, I would make things happen, right? So that month I moved to Turkey, I wasn't even making that much money in my business. I was making about 1,500, and that's not even all profit. So it's not even that much money saved up, like probably like 1,000 or 2. So I moved to Turkey because I didn't have enough money to move out to buy myself in the UK because it was really expensive. So I could do that overseas in Turkey pretty comfortably. But then in that month where I actually had my own space, I was working pretty much from sun up to sundown. And in that month, my business doubled. So it was 1,500 in January, doubled to 3,000. But then the more clients I get, the more work I have to do. So because I have to do a lot more work now, I couldn't manage all of it by myself. And this is when I started thinking of hiring a team, right? So I had to learn a whole new set of skills. I learned hiring, firing. I learned how to teach and train properly. And I learned how to really lead and organize a team. So you can see in the following months, literally the next month after that, the first person I hired was someone who was a paid advertiser. So we actually met on Instagram. And I hired him to manage a few of my clients' ad accounts, right? Because it seemed like he had more experience than me. In May, we hit $11,000 to $12,000 in dollars, right? So from the time I left home last year, from February to March, April, May, I took it from making about 1,500 to making to literally 10x in my business in about like 4 months. And it just continued to grow from there, basically, right? So I traveled to more countries, like Portugal, Thailand, Vietnam. I was basically just saying yes to everything. My friends wanted to, wherever I was getting invited to, I would pretty much just go. And then throughout all of this, I'm growing my team to about 11 people at the time of this recording. Spent well over like 15 to 20,000 on courses, mentoring, upskilling myself and my team. By now, we've generated millions in sales for our clients, and we've learned how to replicate the results again and again and again, right? So you can see here some results that we've been making. Right, this brand done over 75K within a month, over $500,000 here, over 86,000 pounds there. So by growing these brands though, because I was actually good at what I was doing, right? So, but this created a lot more problems because these businesses weren't ready to double, triple, quadruple their business within a space of 1 or 2 months, right? And led to a lot of new problems, like operational problems, scaling the brand, so that like fulfillment, customer service, hiring a team. So I actually had to learn all of those other skills as well, so I could help my clients actually fulfill the new demand that they were getting from our work, right? So I learned how to systemize and automate e-com businesses. And now we have clients making a lot more money whilst reducing their workload and through outsourcing and hiring a strong team. right? So they now have the time and the freedom to enjoy the success of their business, basically, right? So yeah, what now, right? So that's basically the overview of my story. So what's in store for Iron now? I'm going to continue to grow the brands that we're working with to multi 6-7 figure businesses, right? So our clients really have truly life-changing products, and I feel like I owe to our clients and the customers that they'll be helping to serve as many people as possible. I want to create hundreds of jobs through growing these businesses. Because we work with any brand that's in the skincare, haircare, supplement niche. A lot of our brands that we work with, they're Black business owners, and I feel like by growing these businesses, they can add to the community by hiring more people of our own, and this is a way that we can contribute and become more economically independent, and I feel like this is my way to contribute to that. So yeah, I'm happy about that. And the next thing is to really serve as many people as possible. So we're growth partners with the brands that we work with, but we actually reject a lot of brands because I feel we need to give every brand the attention it deserves to grow. So we can't work with anybody. I can't just onboard like 10 or 20 clients at a time. But what I realized is what we could do instead is actually take all of the data, all of the learnings, to consult other brands and install the same systems and strategies into their business so they can grow on their own to get similar or even better results. And I'm really passionate about this because this is a way that I can serve a lot more people than just the 10 brands that we're working with in the agency that we're growth partners with, right? And it's great for them because they can actually learn and get the skills for their own brands or any brands that they want to launch in the future by accessing the data that we're getting from spending literally hundreds of thousands on ads, like on a monthly basis by now, right? So next is grow my income and making enough money passively to take care of my family, future family, and especially just retiring my mum. So she's still 61, working 12-hour shifts, being a nurse. So I want to make that come to a conclusion. And so she can, along with my dad as well, enjoy the last stages of their life because they do really deserve it. They've sacrificed a lot for my family, me and my siblings, and that'll be my way to give back, right? And then finally, let's continue to travel the world and enjoy my life, right? So traveling is definitely one of the best decisions I ever made. Those experiences are worth more than money to me. I just think on my deathbed, I'm going to remember all the memories that I made, not necessarily all the money that I made. So that definitely want to keep on doing that. Those experiences really, it's so cliche, everyone that travels says this, but those experiences really do change you. Experiencing the different cultures and meeting all these different people around the world. It's one of the best things I've done, especially while I'm young, don't have any kids, or at least not that I know of, and don't have a mortgage. It's probably the best time, so I'm going to make the most of it while I still have that opportunity. So yeah, this concludes the video. Thank you for watching, guys. It's Iam signing off. Take care.